Guys and girls, welcome back to the channel, and today is another special one for me because it's another brand spanking new model to the UK, and I'm being the first person in the UK to actually have a ride of it. I'm having an amazing run. There are so many new bikes coming out and they all seem to be coming to Into Moto first for me to have a go on. So let's have a look what today's bike is. Here it is. So this is Morbidelli's all new F125, and I've got to say, aggressively priced at that. So this bike it's priced at £2,499. So it fits in with the very lower end of the market as far as 125s go. The difference with this bike is this is not an air-cooled bike with 10 horsepower. This is a liquid-cooled bike with just under 15 horsepower. So this is a bike with a low price that potentially can compete with the big boys. Let's have a look around the bike, usual way. I'm reserving judgment on that big boys comment until I actually ride it, but let's have a look round. I'll throw some specs at you as we're going, and as always, if you want to pass a comment, if you want to talk about the bike, in the comments we'll have a chat. Let's start with the looks. I actually like it. Now, I know I say it probably about most bikes, to be fair, because I genuinely just like being on two wheels, but the looks on this, yeah, I think it's a nice looking bike. I think the front, the light is very Benelli. Yeah, I think the light is very Benelli / Keyway as far as the light setup goes. I like the colour scheme as well. And shockingly, well, not shockingly, it's actually, well, shockingly good, let's say that. This bike comes in 5 different colours. 5. Got this white colour. There is a red, there's a black, there's a blue. Now the blue, I'm sitting on the fence with the blue because the blue looks very much like the Vogue R125 that is currently in the shop. So yeah, very similar in colour, and I'm not sure about that one. And there's a grey as well. So yeah, loads of different colour options for everyone's taste, I suppose. Brakes, we've got a rear disc on the back with a single piston caliper, a 2 piston caliper on the front disc, single shock just sticking out the back, some upside down forks on the front. The lights on this are all LEDs, front and rear. Nice. So the seat feels a bit suede like, but it's nice. You look like there's a big area there, so you can move forward and backwards if you need to, but we'll see. Rear seat, standard for this type of naked sports looking bike. Only a small seat at the rear, but it's big enough for someone to go on the back. There is some decent grab handles, and of course the rear pegs are fitted as well. I do like the fact that the exhaust is all matte black as well. Makes it easier to clean. So the 125cc engine that's in this, it is just shy of 15 horsepower, so it's pretty much on the limit as what you're allowed in the UK. It is a 4-stroke single cylinder, and it's liquid cooled, so yeah, I'm hoping for some good things as far as the performance goes. Now, what I've been instructed to do, and this has never happened to me before at Into Moto with a brand new bike and a brand new model, but the guys at Into Moto and MotoGP want me to test this bike out to its full potential, which means I am going to do a performance test on it. I want to see how good this bike actually is. So I want to do the 0 to 60 and see if it can compete with the big boys, and the figures suggest that it would, so make sure you stay for the test ride. I'm looking forward to that. And the sun's just come out. Yes. Weight wise, this bike is 143 kilograms, which is about right for this type of bike. It means it's really light. Currently on the side stand, very easy to straighten up, little to no effort, and to walk it around outside, to shuffle it around, just to maneuver it around a garage, a shed, wherever it is you're storing your bike. It's just easy to do. So that is a plus side. Seat height on this, let me jump on. Now, regulars to the channel know that I'm not a big guy. I am 5'8". I've got a 29-inch inseam as well, so I've got short legs and I'm short, but I'm flat foot on this bike, and that is down to its 795mm seat height. Pretty good if you are on the short side. Makes it really easy to walk around if you want to be lazy and not get off the bike when you stop. That, yeah, I've definitely come under that bracket. Now I'm sat here, actually, I've noticed a bit of a sporty feel. My back is not upright like I was expecting it to be. Certainly, and unlike the Vosges R125, which is a little bit more expensive than this bike, and the Benelli BN125, again, a couple of £100 more expensive than this bike, but they are more sit-up bikes. This, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of a lean over the tank, so I'm already feeling a bit sporty on it. It's not too bad. It's not like a sports bike where I'm gonna feel a lot of back pain, because I do tend to, but I am noticing the lean, so we'll see. We'll see how we get on when we take it for a ride. I'm actually liking the position of it. Let's carry on. It has, of course, got a chain drive. It's got a 6-speed gearbox with a slipper clutch. It does take E5 and E10. Let's talk buttons. So, pretty much standard, but what I'm actually really liking about these, normally with a cheap motorcycle you get a cheap plastic type finish, especially on the buttons. This doesn't feel or look like a cheap bike. It doesn't. As far as these buttons go, you've got a horn, there's an indicator, there is a hazard warning light here, you've got your high and low beam, and there is a flash there. But the buttons don't feel like that cheap plastic feel. They actually feel really well made. Surprised given the price point. Right hand side, just what you would expect. You've got an engine start and there's an engine cut off. Some adjustable levers as well. So this has got a USB-C, and the USB is over this side, so you've got 2 charging points there. Again, impressed. Let's check the screen out, let's see what we've got. It's a nice LCD screen, very clear. I don't think the camera's doing it justice. I can see it perfectly clear, and at the moment it is very sunny. There's a lot of sunshine coming down on this, and I'm not getting a lot of reflections from it. It's actually really nice and visible. Just take you through it. You do have the nice big speedo. There is a rev counter going from left over to right. There is a fuel gauge. There is a temperature gauge. There is a clock. There is your total miles. There is a gear indicator as well. Lot of information, small screen, but everything that you need. And yeah, they've not added a TFT, which would have probably added £500 to the cost of the bike, and I'm okay with that. So that's the walk round done. All I need to do now is talk when no one's beeping. Walk round done. Gonna take it for a ride. Importantly though, I mean, I've never had it before. The guys in here want me to do a performance test on it. They want to see how this compares to the other bikes that are in there. I think the Vosges R125 is probably the one that they're expecting it to be similar to. I think the Vosges is the one that it's got to beat. But saying that, will it? And what should you expect it to beat the Vosges? Because this is a couple of £100 cheaper than the Vosges, but the specs on this suggest it could actually do it. So let's go and find out. Let's go and put it through its paces. Looking forward to that performance test though. Let's go. Okay, it's got a little bit of a rumble to it, nothing too aggressive, nothing too offensive, and for this type of bike I think that's what you want. Let's see what the turning circle's like. Full lock actually doesn't look like it turns that much, not compared to the scooters that I'd usually do this test on. Oh yeah, I mean, it's not the best turning circle based on where I was there. I mean, I am very close to that green fence. I'm still this side of it. Ooh. Now I'm on the cobbles. Yeah, it actually feels more of a sporty feel. The suspension actually feels quite firm. It's probably the best way to put it. You are feeling all of the lumps and bumps in the road. Gear changes, as you'd expect from a brand new bike, very smooth. Little to no effort with those. Let's see how pulling out of a junction, let's see. Need to see how zippy it is from the off. Yeah, it feels quite nippy. I am getting a little bit of vibration via my feet. Not much, but enough that it's noticeable. No vibration through the seat, nothing through my hands, but I am just feeling a little bit of a tingle on my toes. But for these normal road speeds, it feels quite a light and nimble bike, quite agile, quite easy to move over from one side of the road to the other. Let's just take it up to 40. Yeah, didn't even need to downshift for that. It did pick up speed quite quickly. The only thing I would mention is, again, just on that little bit of vibration via the feet, was you got a little bit more of it when the revs went a little bit higher. It's alright on the bends, yeah. I've got new rubber on these obviously because it's a brand new bike, so I'm taking it a little bit easy as far as the turns go, but I'm just liking the ease of riding it at the moment. It seems just a very, I'm gonna say learner friendly, because it's easy to ride. Not that this bike is limited to just learners, that is, because for a little town bike, if you're looking for a smaller bike to do the little town journey on, yeah, I think this would suit anyone, to be fair. It does so far. Certainly more positives than negatives. The pegs actually do feel like they're set back ever so slightly, so they don't look like your mid controls. They feel like they are leaning on more of a sporty feel. Right, let's shift down. Let's see. Nah, national speed limit road going uphill. Let me see if it can get to 60 mile an hour. And it can. Now, not many 125s get to 60 mile an hour going uphill on this stretch. I've been on quite a few that have done well in the performance test, and they've got to 60 at a decent point, but have not obtained 60 going uphill. This has. You can tell we're in the summer. It's all a bit grown over here, so I'm in my usual space. So anybody who's watched the channel before will know when I do a performance test, this is my regular stop. So there is a grid on the floor there that's by the front wheel. This road in the UK is a 60 mile an hour road. It's a national speed limit road for the UK. Single lane, so 60 mile an hour. Now, from a standing start, I am going to give this bike the beans. I'm going to try and get to 60 mile an hour as quickly as I possibly can, and on that I'll be able to tell you how this bike fares against other comparable bikes and where it gets to 60 in relation to where other bikes have got to 60. So what I try and aim for, the good performing bikes will get to 60 mile an hour before the big white house, which is down there, which is in the middle of a sharper left bend. Now, if this bike gets to 60 mile an hour before that point, then it joins quite a good list of bikes, such as the sporty 125. So your Suzuki GSXR, which has been the fastest 125 down here, the CBR 125, Yamaha's YZF-R 125, just the sporty Japanese 125s. There have been a couple of bikes that have surprised me and done 60 mile an hour before that point. There's a lot of expensive bikes, is what I'm saying, with the odd cheaper bike. Now, the Vosges R125 got to 59 miles an hour by the time I got to that white house down there. So that really is the benchmark I'm going for. The Vosges is a couple of £100 more expensive than this bike. However, for me, it's still classed as a cheap 125 because it is for a new bike. This is just slightly cheaper. So we're going to see, can this bike compete with the big boys? Can it even get close to the Vosges? Which the Vosges is a good performing 125, certainly for a brand new 125 that's less than £3,000. So let's see how close we get to it. Let me get ready to rock. I've got to leave myself enough room as well. There's a lot of cars, a lot of traffic today, but I've got to leave myself a big enough gap to get the speed up. Everything would suggest though this bike is going to be capable of it. It's done 60 mile an hour uphill. So if it can do 60 mile an hour on the uphill, going this way on the straight, it's not going to have a problem getting to 60. However, it's where it gets to 60. I think that's going to do me. We are clear to go. Taking it right to the limiter. So the Suzuki GSXR was at 60 now. Yeah, do you know what? It's pretty much on par with the Vosges, pretty much identical. In fact, the Vosges did exactly the same. It was 58, 59 by the time we got to that the house on the corner. I'm gonna say it's a good performer. It's not a brilliant performer, not great, but good. Just to give it some context, really. I mean, the Yamaha MT125, yeah, those bikes are really good performing bikes. They're renowned for it, and this has pretty much equaled the performance of one of those up to 60 mile an hour. And price wise, this is about half the price of the MT125. And that's what you've got to let sink in. It is literally half the price. In fact, it might even be less than half the price. If you got some extras on your MT125, I'm sure it's going to be over £5,000, whereas this is just £1 less than 2.5. So you've got to kind of give it a bit of perspective here, that for a bike of this price point to perform as good as a bike twice the price, that for me just makes it pretty good. Pretty good, all things considered. I do like it. I'm in a high gear, and when you're in a high gear and you rev a 125, certainly when you're only doing about 30 miles an hour, you get a lot of noise and not a lot of performance. But the noise out of it is actually, it's quite nice. I'm doing a bit of slow filtering. I'm not in a rush today. Today's more about the experience of riding a brand new model. Now, let's just go over something here, because there might be a few people who will come out with a couple of comparisons themselves, because Morbidelli is under the umbrella of, and under the kind of, I won't say ownership of, but the part of the Kiwi group. So you could say this looks very similar to something like the Kiwi RKF, because it does. Morbidelli have certainly priced this bike aggressively. They obviously want it to sell, and based on performance, based on looks, based on the actual feel of the bike, I don't have anything really to try and convince you not to buy it, because it's a nice bike to ride. It's priced really well, the performance is good, the looks are good, the screen has got everything you need, the comfort is good. The overall riding experience of this bike is good. Now, I know there will be people that, again, and I'm just trying to cover the bases here, that will say, well, why don't you just buy a second-hand Japanese bike? And that is an option that is available to anyone, of course it is. But when you buy a new bike, you get the warranty and all of that stuff, so you've got all of that to consider as well, if you want the peace of mind of having a new bike and the warranties that come with them. If you want to have a bike knowing its history, so you know it hasn't been mistreated, it's been well looked after, then new bikes are good, because you know it's only you that's had it. So there are those things to consider as well. But yes, of course, you could go out and buy a used MT125, for instance, that would probably have, I don't know, 15,000 miles on the clock, something like that, that might be around the same price as this bike. You could do it if you wanted to, or you go out and buy a new bike with 0 miles. I know there's other bikes available, it's just the MT125's the one I've been talking about, so that's why I've mentioned it. But yeah, there are other options available, of course there are, but I just think for a new bike, certainly when you're pitting it against bikes like the Benellis, the Vosges, the Kiwis, the Lex Motos, the Sinuses, the what I'm going to call the more budget friendly bikes, because that's what they are. Those bikes are all very much budget friendly bikes that are priced between the £2,500 to £3,000, or just over £3,000 in some cases. But when you put it against those bikes, this bike for me is probably one of the better ones. I think the riding experience of it does feel certainly equal to the Vosges R125, which I'm I've got no issues in saying that the Vosges R125 is one of my favourite 125s, with the overall package on looks, performance, price, everything. I think the Vosges R125 has got to be mentioned, like, because of all of those things together actually make it a really good option. And I think this bike is definitely, I'm gonna say it, it's pretty much right on par with the Vosges. Now, where this bike possibly wins the Vosges, and I think it possibly does, is because it's slightly cheaper. So, I mean, it goes without saying, doesn't it? If you've got an apple which is £2 and another apple that tastes exactly the same and the same size for £1.50, you buy the £1.50 one, don't you? And I know it's a stupid example, but what I'm getting at is, if both bikes perform the same, which would I choose? Well, I mean, I think I would say I would pick the Morbidelli, and I didn't expect that today. But I think I would, just purely because I know I'd save a couple of £100 buying a Morbidelli over the Vosges. Now, obviously, if the Vosges price come down to the same price as this, then that's a difficult decision, because both being equal, yeah, I think I'd be happy with either, because they both ride very, 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 they're just very similar. The experience of riding them is very similar. They've both got this like really screamy, shouty noise coming out of them that I like. They're not like obnoxious or anything. They're just a very similar experience to ride. So I think I would be happy with either if they were the same price. But if they're not the same price, I would go for the cheaper one. But it's probably the best way to put it. If Vosges all of a sudden overnight become cheaper than this, I'd pick a Vosges. Because they're pretty much similar feeling. Yeah, I would be happy with either of those two bikes. They, I think, have got to be now up there with my favourite budget type bikes. Now, what I'm going to just add to this, now I really like it. In fact, I'm going to just finish on the Morbidelli, and then I'm just going to go on to something else. But as a bike that costs less than £2,500, that's going to go above and beyond 60 mile an hour, because I had to rein it in at 60. It would have gone past that, I'm sure. I wouldn't be shocked if it went all the way up to 70 miles an hour, which again puts it in the bracket of a lot of the Japanese type performing 125s, which I think at this price point is amazing. So for what it is and the price of what it is, yeah, it comes with my recommendation. It's available at Moto. They're selling these bikes brand new. I've already said 5 different colours available, so should you want one. I do have something to say though, and I'm going to just jump off this bike to just because it's staring at me, and it's the only thing really that I think would stop me buying one of these bikes. And I don't know, would it? It would make me consider anyway, because the bike itself, awesome looking bike, awesome to ride, good performance. But, and I've got to say but, because this bike is right outside. Now this, the Kiwi RKS in its lovely green paint job, is about £600 cheaper than the cheap bike I've just been on. Now, yeah, there's a obvious differences with this bike. It does feel a little bit cheaper. The buttons are a little bit cheaper. The horsepower's down. The maximum speed is down. I think officially it says it'll do it about 59 miles an hour or something top speed. So yeah, there are sacrifices to make. However, the price of that is ridiculous, like £1,899 or something, and that for me is an absolute steal. Now, is it worth paying £500 more or 600, no, 500 pounds more, 600 pounds more. Yeah, and my maths is, my head's gone. Is it worth paying 600 pounds more for, I mean, it's still a cheap bike, but is it worth paying 600 pound more for a bike that may do 10 miles an hour more? I don't know. I think it depends, doesn't it, on what you're going to use your bike for. If you're doing a lot of faster roads, then yeah, I think looking at that, it does look a little bit meatier. The tank looks meatier. I forgot to mention as well, 12.5 litre tank, but it does look a little bit wider and meatier, and there's a few little touches, like there's these little wing things going on here, and yeah, there's your USB, USB-C, and all these nicer touches on this bike. It's obviously, yeah, more expensive and a nicer bike. It is. But if you are looking to save money and you know, this bike is cheap, that's just cheaper. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If it was a town bike for going around town and you never went above 40 mile an hour, I would buy the RKS. But if you're going out a little bit further and you're going hitting the twisties and you're going venturing out a little bit more, then yeah, I would buy the Morbidelli, because it's going to be more usable, it's quicker, it's got better performance, yeah, it is a better bike, there's no question. That's not in dispute, that's a better bike. It's just depends on what you want to use it for. It does, and if you want to save money, because I'm all about saving money. But I really like this one, I really like that one, but there is obvious differences as I've just gone on. Anyway, that's going to do me, because I'm just rambling like a madman now. If this is the kind of video you like, if you're interested in buying one of these new bikes, and to be fair, if you're looking for a new 125, these should be on your radar, both of them, to be fair, because they're both excellent bikes. They are available at Into Moto, brand spanking new. That one, £1,899. This one, £2,499, which is still a cheap bike, to be fair. But I'll put a link in the description for Into Moto. And for now, I will catch you guys on the next one. Laters.